Mass layoffs are beginning on federal workers. Here we are.
Now to Washington, and the Trump administration's beginning mass layoffs of federal workers impacting multiple agencies. Tens of thousands of employees are expected to lose their jobs. Our senior political correspondent, Rachel Scott, is tracking the latest from the White House. Good morning, Rachel.
Rebecca, good morning to you. And federal workers who did not resign as part of that buyout offer were warned that they could possibly be laid off or fired. And this morning, we are learning that mass layoffs have started across multiple federal agencies. This morning, the Trump administration taking its sweeping efforts to shrink the size of the federal workforce one step further, ordering agencies to lay off nearly all probationary employees, meaning those hired within the last 1 or 2 years. A move that could impact as many as 220,000 federal workers. At the Department of Veteran Affairs alone, more than 1,000 new workers were dismissed. Overnight, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau also firing term employees, with expectations that the rest may be fired today, leaving a skeleton staff of around 5%. The CFPB and VA are just two of several agencies that have started to cut federal workers so far. The administration also targeting the Department of Education and the Environmental Protection Agency. The largest federal employee union slamming the layoffs, calling it a blatant violation of the principles of fairness and merit that are supposed to govern federal employment, and saying the firings are about power. At some agencies, workers learned by email they had been laid off. But at the Office of Personnel Management, others found out on a call.
You will receive your termination notice via email shortly. As a result, your employment with the Office of Personnel Management will end today.
Elon Musk, who has billions of dollars in federal contracts and is spearheading the efforts to slash government spending, also calling for the elimination of whole agencies. Musk sitting down with Indian Prime Minister Modi Thursday before he met with President Trump. The president unsure the capacity of Musk's meeting and whether Musk was acting as a private citizen wanting to do business in India or a member of the administration.
I would imagine he met possibly because, he's running a company.
Trump pushed on how a foreign leader may know the difference.
Well, he's meeting with me in a little while, so I'm going to ask him that question.
He's like, I'm the head of state, and I'm here to do business too. I personally am basically like the reverse of Elon Musk, Someone who was elected as the head of state, who also wants to do business deals. He's someone who is a businessman who's doing head of state stuff to basically do business deals. We're two sides of the same coin, It's cool.
So the Indian Prime Minister was also asked if they discussed any business. He would only say that he has known Elon Musk for a very long time, guys.
All right, Rachel, thank you so much for your reporting.
The Department of Education canceled more than $350 million.
The way media has just reported these as mass layoffs is absurd. The firings are illegal. You can't just mass terminate federal employees without cause, even if they're probationary. Even if they're probationary, people are losing their health care and lives are being torn apart. It's so fucking upsetting. Yeah, remember the 23% underemployment statistic that we looked at yesterday? 23% of the current existing workforce is either doing part-time jobs or basically makes less than $25,000, which is a poverty wage. Okay. Now, remember, the reminder here is that obviously, the people that are currently being fired are not exactly caked up, but they at least have like decent jobs in comparison to the people making $25,000 a year. And we're firing them by the tens of thousands as well. Okay. Not only is this firing process unimaginably cruel, okay, it's also not done for good reason, and it will lead to a lot of these services that people rely on that they don't even realize that they rely on to go away, to be crippled. Of course, saying that this is illegal is virtually inconsequential in this process because what are you going to do about it is basically the attitude that is demonstrated by this administration over and over again. A lot of people also don't understand that the federal government in and of itself does have a bunch of jobs that are just simply good to have, right? Not every single person is dealing with issues in the most efficient way possible, but it doesn't matter. It's not supposed to be that way. Jobs are given to people in many instances, whether it's the federal government or even in private enterprise, not because you have to have this many people working on this job, but sometimes jobs are given to people because it's good to have jobs. Okay? It's good to keep people busy. It's good to keep people it's good to make sure that they have a way of purchasing more commodities, to have disposable income. It's an important facet of the federal government. Okay? And in many circumstances, considering, especially on the private sector, how much these guys engage in layoffs, most of the jobs that were previously done by 5 people, 6 people are now being done by 1 person or 2 people as a consequence of technological improvements that make the workforce more productive. But that also means that there are less people making an honest living in that process. And that's a bad thing for the economy. Okay? Saying that helps the conservatives' points that these people don't do shit and should be fired. Yes, because conservatives are stupid. Conservatives are stupid and live in a fantasy world where they think every single person on the job site is maximizing their efficiency at every point, not recognizing that they themselves in their own immediate workplaces are probably playing that very same role. Okay, whether it's a blue collar job or a white collar job, whether you're on the assembly line of some sort, you are not maxing out your efficiency at every given point. And it's understandable that you're not doing that. You're not supposed to do that. It's ridiculous to do that, especially if you're working for somebody else. Okay? The question I have for people is, and I guess like if you want to have this conversation with conservatives, you can have it on the basis of AI, because they were genuinely fearful of artificial intelligence and self-driving cars taking away key parts of the trucking sector, right? They were truly worried about that. And the question remains, okay, if AI and self-driving cars are going to eradicate the trucking sector, is that the best possible thing to do when we're moving forward? Should there not still be someone that sits on top of that truck, even if there's a FSD structure that exists? Okay. We criticize, or not criticize, but like we make fun of Japan, for example, where there's like so many people working in these like ridiculous positions. There's always like an old person that covers like 4 sides of any sort of construction, where they're just sitting there with a light stick in their hands going like this all day, every day. Why does that guy do that? Now, obviously, he's too old to be doing that to begin with, and it's crazy that he's still working. But why is that guy doing that job? Does he have to do that job? Could that job be relegated to I don't know, a automated light stick? Probably. Definitely, as a matter of fact. It's not necessarily just because of safety, chatters. A big part of why these jobs exist is so that there is money to be given to these people so they can make a fucking honest living. People don't understand that. I agree that maximizing efficiency is bad for working conditions, but framing these jobs the only way to give people money isn't the right rhetoric when talking to conservatives about this. No, I'm not simply talking about this from the perspective of these are jobs that need to exist so that people get paid. I'm simply tackling the concept of why jobs exist to begin with in certain sectors. Okay? In order for a society to be healthy and to function, you got to get people jobs, okay? You got to make sure that they're fulfilling a role, a duty. Okay? We need that. We need that more than anything else. Okay? But on top of that, a lot of these fucking jobs that are being eliminated right now are profoundly important anyway. And the consequences of eliminating these jobs and these mass layoffs is only going to be seen further down the line. Okay?
dollars in spending yesterday for what it called woke initiatives, and much deeper cuts could be ahead. President Trump wants his pick to lead the department, Linda McMahon, to dismantle it entirely. But many people are confused over what the
I'm a probationary employee that took the fork offer and still got fired late last night by email. If you're like me, you can still file an appeal with the MSPB for wrongful termination, even if you're probationary.
department does and how school districts could be affected. Caitlin Huey-Burns is on Capitol Hill. Caitlin, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Nate. Well, you may know billionaire CEO Linda McMahon is the CEO of...
I don't disagree, but those people can't be doing nothing. Making things more efficient and cutting worthless jobs isn't inherently bad. It's about how the surplus produced is allocated. Yeah, except it is inherently bad. Okay? The proper process in this circumstance is not to fire people. Let's say technological efficiency has made it so that you can get the same work done a decade prior in literally 2 hours, okay? In a decade ago, you could get the same workload done over the course of an 8-hour workday, okay? Now you can do it in 2 hours. What is supposed to happen in a normal society, in an evolved society, is that you still get paid the same amount of money, okay? And you work 2 hours instead of the 8. But what obviously capital owners want to do in that process is fire all of the additional employees and make sure that 1 or 2 people are now tasked with this because they can do the entire workday's workload in 2 hours. That's efficiency. That's productivity. That's what this means when people say, oh, productivity is increased, whereas wages have remained stagnant. Okay? To your point, China has automated seaports. They still have longshoremen, but they work in a chair and use joysticks to... Exactly. You have to have people still working. Technology is supposed to be a benefit to take away the burden of day-to-day work, okay? It's not supposed to be utilized in a way to offset the existing labor force. It's not supposed to be utilized in a way where you're engaging in mass layoffs, okay? That is what's so silly about this conversation. And many Americans who are primed to believe that capitalism is good, unironically write away their own death warrants, okay? They don't realize it's like, no, we have to be super invested in efficiency. It's like, it's okay. It's okay to have efficiency at the job site. Okay. But what you fail to comprehend is that efficiency is not supposed to displace you. That efficiency is supposed to reduce your burden. It's supposed to reduce your workload, not actually keep your workload the exact same, but now your output is 10x because of technological advancements. Okay, that's the major problem. That is, I think, in this day and age, with AI becoming a conversation at the forefront of what will happen in the next step with labor, which is, I guess, if you want to consider it like the next industrial revolution, okay, a lot of people who are so brain broken by capitalism being the only game in town, so fearful of the alternatives, have refused to reckon with what will happen once so much of the labor force is displaced. What do? Do you become a Wall-E style a person stuck to a chair that's like constantly consuming stuff? Is that your only purpose in life, is to become a part of the consumption engine? And then those who are not a part of that consumption engine are working the assembly lines and working for meager wages and dire conditions and worse conditions as we supercharge the exploitation. Is that what we're supposed to be doing? Is that the perfect future? Is that the utopian future that technology and all of its endless bounty was supposed to offer us? It's crazy. It's crazy that so many people do unironically feel like, well, I guess that's just the way things are. Even from a capitalist point of view, you're supposed to slow hiring, then trickle layoffs and buyouts to not collapse the local economy. People think food stamps is about being altruistic and not about keeping the stores open and the crime rate down. Exactly. That's the other side of this process that people don't understand. Wealthy libertarians used to call welfare the riot tax because they understood that without any social safety nets, there would be too much chaos and too much instability. But these guys forgot that aspect, okay? Or at the very least, they're stress testing how much they can destroy the working poor without ever having to deal with the violent consequences that are inevitable, okay? I thought food stamps were subsidizing farmers. It subsidizes everything. Food stamps are there to subsidize Walmart paying very little to its workforce. Ay, ay, ay. I manage a team in corporate America. I've been put on notice that if I do not train the new skills into my team and their work can be done with AI or automation, then I have to lay them off. It's insane. I don't understand how people can't comprehend what future we are leading, what future we're like bouldering towards, like a very negative one, not a positive one at all. Okay, how do people not see that?